All right, y'all. Thank y'all again. It's been an amazing 2 years. Thanks for hanging out with us. Little brief overview of everything that's happened, the various conventions and all that stuff that we've had the opportunity to go to, all the awesome people that we've had the opportunity to meet. Of course, you guys that have supported us along the this entire journey here. So we're going to officially get started with our presentation here and talk about a little bit more of what we've already done, starting with Phase 1 of Midnight Comics. So, to top things off, again, how we initially got started, if you would, we first released The Unbeloved. Order and Structure was the name of that issue, back in September 2020. If you're not familiar with it, it is about two Shinto deities, Izanagi and Izanami, on their quest to, again, maintain order and structure in the shapeless chaos that is the world. And things are going great during that initial chapter. Then certain rifts come between the two, causing their mission to kind of be put on hold or in jeopardy, if you would. So that's The Unbeloved that came out again September 2020. In February, we actually was able to move full steam ahead and get started with The Unbeloved Chapter 2, which was called Adoption. So we show up centuries later with their children, Awashima and Hiriko. It's a post-apocalyptic world now. So now you gotta wonder, what in the world happened between Chapter 0 and Chapter 1? All was going well in Chapter 0, but what happened between 0 and 1 that caused the world to be in this post-apocalyptic state? The man who finds them, Ebisu, kind of brings them up to speed, and it's up to them now to figure out who they are and what they're going to do with the cards dealt to them. So that's issue 2, or chapter 2 rather, of The Unbeloved. Next up, we released Tales from Midnight. That was back September of last year, and that actually included 4 different stories wrapped up in one book. And these are our various covers that we had for it. The stories that were included in this book was the Blue Morpho, Soul, the Gray, and Admani. And to kind of point them out really quick, that's the Blue Morpho, or rather that's the butterfly right there. I'm pointing at the wrong thing. There's Soul, again that's the Blue Morpho, or butterfly rather. There's the Gray, and there's Admani. And so, again, 4 stories wrapped up in that one book. The Butterfly is actually a character that came out in the 70s, just kind of bringing guys up to speed about these characters. She came out in the 70s. She got 2 issues and ended up in public domain obscurity. And she's credited with being the first African-American superheroine ever created, predating Storm and Vixen. And so with all that history there, we were just like, we have to do something with that. Nobody else is. That's ridiculous. So we decided to give her explanation as to why she disappeared from the hero life and continue the story through our own original character, the Blue Morpho. And so, again, that first issue that you get in Tales from Midnight is kind of a flashback or prologue as to, again, what happened to the butterfly as we transitioned into the story of the Blue Morpho. So, the gentleman on the bottom right there, he actually has 2 entities within him, Aman and Ra, both Egyptian deities, who fused together to take on Isfet, the embodiment of chaos. Unfortunately, Aman-Ra was losing the battle very terribly, and so what they decided to do was pour their essence inside of a human host. When they did so, they actually found Soul's mom, poured their essence into her, not realizing she was pregnant. So the issue with that is their mind went to Soul's mom, and all the power went to Soul. So when she died in childbirth, he loses all knowledge of who or what he really is. And so that becomes a problem when he actually comes face to face with beings that knew Aman-Ra, like Anubis and Isfet himself. So this is a story about really self-discovery, what he's going to be able to do to stop these threats that come face to face with him throughout the course of his story. Next up, we have the Gray, who is my personal favorite character. She is a physicist. She has managed to create miniature particle accelerators. And within those particle accelerators, she's able to generate black holes, which she's like, oh, this is an infinite energy source. We could do so much good with this. Unfortunately, our favorite thing to do is weaponize things. And so it's up to the Gray to retrieve her stolen tech and prevent the solar system or galactic catastrophe, if you would. So she decides to become a superhero known as the Gray. Only problem, she can't fight to save her life. So, will this scientist or physicist be able to become a superhero and save the day and, again, prevent the entire galaxy from being destroyed? Find out in that story. And then last but not least, we have Admani, a young lady who was gifted the power of fire. But the problem is she can't control it, and she's absolutely terrified of it. So, will she be able to come to step up to the plate when... Yeah, intriguing. Yeah, thank you. Will she be able to step up to the plate when a villain strolls into town, will she be able to get over her fear of her powers, or will the city be laid to waste by the mysterious villain that enters the city? So that's what you're going to get with Admoni. And so that released in September. Again, all of these things are available on our website, midnightcomics.org. Actually, Admoni and The Gray are both available for $2 right now. So yeah, all those are available right now, again, on midnightcomics.org. Those last two stories that I explained are actually only $2, and the first two stories I explained are only $4. So yeah, definitely check it out if you have the chance. So that was September. And last but not least, to end the phase out, and I just realized my big head is in the way, so we're going to move me to the side just a little bit here. So we released The Unbeloved. Let's go up. Yeah.
That's a much better idea.
Much better idea. So really quick to end out our first phase. March of this year, we released The Unbeloved Ashes of Homesubi, which, let me go to the next little thing here. There we go. Where we get to meet the threat of the series. What you're seeing in front of you is not only a dragon in the middle there, but at the bottom, this guy here is actually an unbound genie. So he could essentially do anything and everything he wants, and their mission right now is to open Yomi, which is essentially Shinto's version of Hades or Sheol, and behind it is everything that Izanagi and Izanami faced off against back in Chapter 0. So the only thing stopping the complete annihilation and destruction of the planet are those two kids that I showed you a little while ago, Hiriko and Awashima. Will they be able to pull it off? We get to find out in Chapter 2 of The Unbeloved. So now we're about to go ahead and move on to some more exciting stuff. What's to come from Midnight Comics? And so bear with me just a moment. Got a little something to show y'all. Yep, there we go. So yeah, as you saw, not only is Tales from Midnight issue 2 coming, with some new characters, 3 new stories. Those characters that we just went over just a moment ago, a lot of them will be getting their own single runs coming soon in Phase 2 from Midnight Comics. And so we're going to move on to Phase 2 really quick. Here we go. So, for those of you guys that made it to DreamCon July 15th, Dogma actually technically released then. We did a DreamCon exclusive where we actually, this is the copy here, we will never print that standalone issue again. However, there's no worries about that. I'm going to talk a little bit about the story, and I'm going to tell you why there's no worries about that. So Dogma is about 2 demon hunters in this particular issue that make it to the city they're supposed to be saving a little bit too late. And so the thing that's waiting for them is actually Legion. So can they take on Legion and potentially save what's left of this city? That's what you're getting in Dogma. Those 2 characters are Reina and Kaya. So we're going to move right along to answer your question. This fall, we're going to be releasing that Tales from Midnight issue 2. And so we're going to be doing 3 new stories, one of which is Dogma. And again, to answer your question, Groovy, it's going to include the Raven's Omen is the name of the story that I'm working on with my father. That's the character there on the left. He's actually a Ravenmocker entity. Yeah, so that's, as you could tell from at least that one, I need to get this expeditionally. No problem. Listen, we are almost done with this story.
One day soon.
Yeah, really soon. Like literally last page getting worked on as we speak.
Give it to me, please.
Last page. We're actually of course in the middle that's Dogma again, and then right here on the right is our story, The Last Day, and that I'm just waiting on colors, and then everything's getting lettered at the same time. Dogma's already lettered, but Raven's Omen, Last Day, waiting on the last page for Raven's Omen. And then Last Day, waiting on it to get colored. I'm going to send both of those in to get lettered. And again, we should have those in your hand this fall. So a little bit more about that, a little bit more about Tales from Midnight issue 2 as a whole. It's definitely more mature and a little bit more grittier, if you would, than the previous one that initially introduced our superhero characters. This one, again, is not necessarily superheroes. So anyway, we're going to move on from that really quick into the next book, which, of course, our longest running series, our manga, The Unbeloved. Chapter 2 was massive, right? So what we did is we split Chapter 2 in half to go ahead and get that out earlier this year, and then we're finishing it up here. Each one of those books are about 55 to 60 pages a piece. This one, if we kept it together so far, and it's almost done, it's currently sitting at 90 pages with about 30 more to go. So right, that'd have been like 120 pages. We was like, you know what, let's get this in people's hands. And what we plan to do is when this drops, what we want to do is eventually go ahead and put all 4 all wrapped up in one book. So that's going to be an intense issue because, again, we meet the threat in the previous portion of Chapter 2. But now we actually get to see the action, right? We get to see how our heroes will fare in this battle. You actually, here's a sneak peek at the first page of the next book. Is it the first page? Yeah, first page of the next book. So how that last one ended, you're like, oh, snap. So you actually get to see what's going on. There's a little more that meets the eye right here. So the next story is Soul. So of course, like I explained before, he's our character that has 2 Egyptian deities inside of him. And so this story is just about completed, really. Here's a sneak peek to that, where Soul comes face to face, not to an avatar of Anubis, but actually Anubis. So will our character be able to stand up against him? I don't want to spoil what he was able to face off against in his issue 0 that was in Tales from Midnight. And again, this isn't going to be part of a Tales from Midnight anymore. This is actually his single run. You guys voted, the community voted rather, on which story they liked the most within Tales from Midnight issue 1. And the community chose Soul and the Gray. And so we decided, all right, well, based on that feedback, we're going to go ahead and get issue 1 and 2 of Soul and issue 1 and 2 of the Gray worked on and done before anything else. And so that's why next year, that's why you're going to see those. And so moving right along, the Gray, as stated previously, we plan on releasing that in August of next year. So of course, again, Shamika Day doing her daily thing, and this is my favorite picture. Oh man, well, this is of this issue. It's like my favorite picture. He really captured that look of determination that she's got going on right there. Like this is. I'm in love with this picture. Anyway, of course, I'm sure everybody would know, like, yo, what the heck happened to her? Yeah, well, you're going to find out. You're going to find out real soon. So definitely stay tuned. And again, if you haven't had a chance to read any of these issue 0s for these stories, look at that melanin right though.
Popping.
Right though.
Popping, glistening.
Absolutely amazing. Right,
glowing.
glistening, glowing.
That's partially why I like that picture and the other picture in the boardroom.
Yeah. Oh, in the boardroom? Yeah.
That picture.
Yeah, that's a good one. But yeah, she's my favorite character. She's my absolute favorite character, man. Because it's like, okay, she wants to be a superhero. She can't fight, and she's just really super smart. Like, how is she going to use her ingenuity, if you would, her big brain, if you would, to handle this whole situation? So again, her initial issue is only $2. So if y'all want to check it out, midnightcomics.org for sure. And they're digital. They're currently digital right now. All right. So next up, Admani. Admani came in 3rd place. And so make sure you get that issue 0. Yes. But yeah, Admani is next. Currently, December of next year is when that'll drop. And so just to show you a quick picture of that, remember we said she's absolutely terrified of those powers. But yeah, Admani's deal, right? If you spontaneously combust her right now, would that be fun or terrifying? For most people, that's absolutely terrifying. So we get to really delve into what's going on with her throughout the course of her story here. And so
she is scared.
She's scared. And so that she's actually going to cap off phase 2. And so next up, surprise, surprise, we're already planning for phase 3 of Midnight Comics.
Yeah. I'm super fly.